Good morning and welcome. It is Saturday. It is 8 o'clock. It is the 14th day of November, and I am your grumpy guide to all things gaming, the OGGM, with another OGGM adventure. Let's get the grumpy hat on. Bah humbug. So, as you know, I received 31 pounds of gaming stuff from my friend Tim S. Harper, and amongst the many products was Fate, a game I knew very little about, other than it had won some awards and was considered very good and very easy and stuff like that. My personal experience with Fate, as I've already said twice, was very weird and very short, and I still really didn't know anything about the game. My personal experience with Forge and the Forge movement and FUDGE and everything that came out of that fiasco was very negative. So, and my personal experience with GURPS has also ended up being very negative. So I went into this with, I'm not going to be judging because I can't judge a system on the behavior of individuals. I don't like what Wizards of the Coast is doing, and there are things about 5th edition I do not like, but as a system, I don't care about it one way or the other. It's fine. It's 5th edition. So my opinion going into this was just, I have personal controversy associated with everything that led up to the creation of this game. I know that there are good things about this game. I know there are probably bad things about this game, but I just want to look at the system and not judge it on the individual. So apparently there is some controversy swirling around Fate from everything I'm trying to find out. Several individuals have contacted me on Facebook and on YouTube about the behavior of the creator of Fate, the individuals over at Evil Hat Games, I guess, whatever, Fred Hicks, and how they handled the situation with Fate of Cthulhu. Apparently the controversy all seems to associate around the Fate of Cthulhu game that they put out, how they handled the Fate of the Cthulhu Kickstarter playtest, whatever. So let's just caveat. Apparently, Adam Kobel, our old friend Adam Kobel, is a big fan of Fate. And since Adam Kobel is a fucking scumbag, that's reason enough to dislike Fate, because that guy is just, whoa. I mean, he makes, politically correct liberals like me who are trying to actually use the movement as just, fuck. I could do a whole other video about that jackass. I'm not a rapist. Okay, so here's what I know, and I'm still trying to find out. 1, apparently they tried to do a Terminator role-playing game for Fate, and they couldn't get the license. So, what's a license that everybody can use? Cthulhu. Cthulhu is public domain. We've discussed this 2 or 3 times. Technically, the Cthulhu mythos is public domain. So they did a role-playing game called Fate of Cthulhu, where they apparently, from what I've been told, reskinned everything they've done for the Terminator role-playing game and did it as a Cthulhu role-playing game. Skynet was replaced with Cthulhu. The Terminators were replaced with, I guess, Deep Ones and Cthulhu operatives. Cthulhu Skynet was trying to destroy humanity and replace it with Cthulhu robots, and so there was time traveling. I mean, you look at the color of Fate of Cthulhu, and there's literally somebody on a motorcycle, and you're just like, look at that silhouette. It's frickin' Schwarzenegger. So they reskinned it. Now, and so that's the first thing, is that apparently they just, instead of making a very creative take on the Cthulhu mythos, doing something new and different using the Fate system, they just reskinned a game they'd already written and just changed a few words. Instead of Terminators, we'll call them Cthulhuators. I don't know. I had just whatever. And won awards. So apparently someone somewhere thought it was a good game. I don't know. So that's the first. The second is apparently, and this is the one thing I found so far, is they acknowledged that H.P. Lovecraft was a bit of a scumbag. He had some personal beliefs about people of color, about Jews, that we considered very, very distasteful in today's atmosphere. But at the time H.P. Lovecraft was alive, some of his opinions regarding people of color and people of Jewish descent. I mean, that was pretty, the standard operating procedure of where he lived and when he lived, So we're holding a microscope of today up to the way people behaved, after the Civil War, stuff like that, about how they treated anything that wasn't white. So, I mean, you can't. So, yeah, he was a racist and an anti-Semitic, but so was 90% of everybody else where he lived. He was a little extreme about his beliefs, like he believed black people hatched from eggs. Also, his relationship with his aunts who raised him and where he lived for most of his life was borderline incestuous. But apparently, as he got older, he mellowed. He supposedly married a Jewish woman, and his xenophobic attitude mellowed. So they addressed the fact that H.P. Lovecraft had some beliefs that people of today might not agree with. Okay, fine, whatever. In case you're the one person on the planet who doesn't know that about Lovecraft. And let's face it, there's probably a lot of people who aren't fans of the Cthulhu mythos or who probably didn't know that. I mean, I don't think my brother knows that Lovecraft was a racist. I'm sure the gardener didn't know that about Lovecraft or who even Lovecraft was. So acknowledging that aspect of H.P. Lovecraft's life, I guess it's okay. I don't know if any other Cthulhu product has gone out of its way to do it. And if not, should they have? I really can't judge that. It's not my place to say, well, every Cthulhu product should have acknowledged the fact that Lovecraft was a wackadoodle. But Lovecraft is not the sole creator of the Cthulhu mythos. Lots of other people who he shared his idea with, like Edgar Rice Burroughs and the Conan guy, Howard, what's his name, also contributed to the creation of the Cthulhu mythos. So it's not just Lovecraft's baby. So while acknowledging that Lovecraft might have been a wackadoodle, they also should have acknowledged, hey, lots of other people have contributed to the creation of the Cthulhu mythos, several of them individuals of color. And we're basing our game on all of that. But instead, they went out of their way to acknowledge everything that Lovecraft thought was wrong by today's standards. Of course it's wrong by today's standards, but it wasn't wrong by then standards. I'm not defending Lovecraft. The guy was a wackadoodle who wanted to bang his aunts, but still, for the time, I mean, he was a little extreme. I mean, he was KKK extreme, but he mellowed with age, supposedly. Whatever. They went out of their way. Instead of just making it like a one, paragraph, it was like 2 pages of stuff. And that apparently they also went out of their way saying things like, well, if you get Cthulhu shit and you don't acknowledge that Lovecraft was that kind of wackadoodle, then you're also a racist and a homophobic and a subhuman. Again, most people, I would say 99% of the people on the planet, don't know what a wackadoodle Lovecraft was. And about 99% of the people of the people who are, fans of the Cthulhu mythos, don't fucking care. Oh, well, so it was a wackadoodle. That was like 10,000 years ago, and it doesn't have any effect on the Cthulhu role-playing games, or the Cthulhu product line, or the Cthulhu plushie, or the Cthulhu breakfast cereal, because Cthulhu is public domain. Several other individuals have contributed to Cthulhu. Arkham, Miskatonic. Those are from other people. Fucking Arkham exists in Batman. Are you now saying that Batman's a racist and an anti-Semite? Actually, yeah, Batman's a wackadoodle too, So they went out of the way, and they went out of the way to call out anybody who didn't agree with them, but was still, oh, I like Cthulhu, so therefore I'm a racist. But then they still, after going out all their way to say this, they still made a Cthulhu product. So it's like a lot of people took umbrage with them investing so much energy in saying Lovecraft bad, but we're going to still make money off of Lovecraft. Well, anybody and their dog can make money off of Lovecraft. It's a public domain product line. So, yes. And apparently they kept attacking Evil Hat Games and this, specifically Fred Hicks. Anybody who brought up brought this up during the playtest and the Kickstarter was attacked and called subhuman. And they were told, well, because you're calling us out on the fact that we're calling out Lovecraft, you're a racist and an anti-Semitic. So basically it feels like they went out of their way to invest so much energy in being, SJW woke. We have to acknowledge this because we're not this and we're blah, 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 that they actually turned it into something negative instead of saying, hey, let's use role-playing as a way to address these issues and try and bring people together, educate people, and make the world a better place through role-playing. But we're not going to go out of our way to insult anybody because this is America. But that's what they did. Another thing is from what I've been told, is during the Kickstarter playtest, there was stretch goals, as there always are with any Kickstarter, usually any Kickstarter. Kickstarter will play, it's the product's paid for itself. We're still getting money, so we have a stretch goal. If you give us this much money by this much time, we'll give you a cookie. Jump through the hoop, get a cookie. Apparently, people who didn't agree during the playtest Kickstarter the direction Fate of Cthulhu was going, even though they'd met the stretch goals and and Evil Hat was therefore contractually obligated to give them the product or whatever it was, they didn't, because these people said, oh, well, you're being hypocritical by making money off of Cthulhu, calling out Lovecraft, but not acknowledging that other people have contributed to Cthulhu. You can make a Cthulhu product and not acknowledge Lovecraft because Cthulhu's fucking public domain. And as I've said, there's probably tons of people who don't even know H.P. Lovecraft was the original creator of Cthulhu. And there's some historical documentation that would lead some people to believe that maybe he wasn't the original. He stole from Mesopotamian and other ancient histories and religions. The idea of tentacle monsters was not original. He just took that and ran with it and then gave it to other people who also ran with it. And those gave it. There's nothing original in Cthulhu. It's just the nightmares of a guy who was probably strung out on some kind of fucked up, drug and had incestuous thoughts about his aunts and thought black people hatched from eggs. So, yeah. So, you didn't agree with them. They didn't respond with the promised stretch goals. Okay, so that leads us to today. I posted a vlog about this game yesterday, about trying to make sense of the system and, my initial thoughts on it, my history with this game, which is mostly negative. What I thought of the ideas in this game is it's nothing I haven't seen before, but I've been around for a long time. I can definitely see the GURPS and the FUDGE and the FORGE influences. I think I've seen games that have also come out of that have done it better, like Powered by the Apocalypse and Tales from the Loop and a couple other games, Blades in the Dark, stuff like that. This is a mishmash of ideas that doesn't really translate very well. If you can't explain to me when I'm trying to play the game what the pluses and the minuses on the stupid dice mean, then obviously the game is not written very well. They went out of their way to point a finger at the beliefs of an individual who's been dead for several years and still tried to make money off of it without also saying, well, he's not the only person. Hundreds of other people have contributed to this mythology, so let's point out them. And we're using the Cthulhu mythos. We're not just using Lovecraft's Cthulhu, because there's plenty of stuff in the Cthulhu mythos that he had nothing to do with. And we're saying that if you don't agree with us about calling out Lovecraft, well, you're less than human. So that initially, that right there just makes it, well, fuck you. Why would I want to support you if you're not willing to enter into an intellectual debate with me about the pros and cons of the product line, but instead you're just calling me an anti-human because I disagree with the amount of time and energy you're spending? Because it's a 2-page post of what they say about Lovecraft in Fate of Cthulhu. And they never acknowledge in Fate of Cthulhu, from what I understand. I don't have a copy of Fate of Cthulhu, and I'm still trying to find information on it. So let's just caveat that right there. They don't acknowledge anywhere in Fate of Cthulhu that, oh, this is a Terminator game. We wrote a Terminator game. We couldn't get the rights to Terminator. Galen Hurd, what does she know about business? So we reskinned it with some public domain shit, Cthulhu, because we weren't original and couldn't think of anything else at the time. Okay, so that leads us today. That leads me to the responses that I got out. People saying, well, this is a fucking bad game. He's a fucking asshole. I didn't agree with him. So they fuck you, fuck Fate, fuck Adam, fuck this. Okay, so here's what I think. Right. I don't know why they chose to do what they did. I also know that apparently they addressed mental illness in Fate of Cthulhu because Cthulhu games often deal with insanity and corruption, and they're like, well, we're not going to use insanity and corruption because it's an insult to people with mental illness. No, it's not. People who, have some people play Call of Cthulhu and the other Cthulhu role-playing games. I'm sure some of them are special needs, like me. Some of them are probably autistic or have Asperger's or obsessive compulsive or have some special need, and they don't think it's an insult. Oh, well, I'm playing Cthulhu and my character went insane because I failed my save. Therefore, you're insulting me because I'm dyslexic. No! They're like, fuck it, it's a game. I don't fucking care. I don't know anybody who's ever said that. Maybe there's somebody somewhere who said that, but I don't know it. So that was another thing. So people pointed this out to me. I've researched it. This is what I found out. It doesn't, it sounds like I can't, I don't know why the Fate people did what they did. I don't know why Fred Hicks did what he did. I don't know why he went out of his way to engage with people in such a negative, destructive way, because all it does is make him look bad and his product look bad. So obviously already going into this, it's yet another negative thing about Fate that I have to attach to this. So here's the negative things about Fate. Adam Kobel likes it. Adam Kobel's a fucking scumbag who uses game as an excuse to try and rape a girl after spending so much energy saying, oh, I'm gay and I don't like girls, but I'm sure as hell going to set up a situation where I can rape this hot chick. But I'm gay. I've got purple hair. I've got a nose ring. I'm the poster boy for being woke. I'm so woke, it's obviously I'm fake. I'm not really woke. I'm a fucking cliche. -1. -2. Fate comes from FUDGE. FUDGE was a horrible attempt to try and capitalize on the popularity of GURPS. That's -2. -3. Fate comes from FUDGE, which comes from GURPS. GURPS, which started out as a great game, ended up being a fucking disaster and treated me and my friends personally horribly because we didn't agree with choices that they made. -4. Fate comes from FUDGE. FUDGE comes from the Forge. Forge comes from the fucked up mindset of people like Carrie Solomon, Chuck Conselman, Willis, and stuff like that. And are all ideas that were stole from Matt Keating and Steve Balbo anyways, and those two individuals are never given any credit for their contribution to the Forge, which led to FUDGE, which led to Fate, that leads us to here. So here's my final thoughts on Fate. As a system, you took ideas that already existed, you pushed them together, you made a game. That game didn't do very well, so you made a different game using the same system but calling it something different. That game apparently did extremely well, so you did a third game, well, 2 versions of the third game, Fate Core and Fate Accelerated. Lots of people like Fate Core, lots of people like Fate Accelerated. There are several products based on Fate Core, there are several products based on Fate Accelerated, so people see these as 2 different products. You released a product and then went about followed the Wizards of the Coast business model and did everything you possibly could wrong in regards to the product line. I mean, any mistake that you could have made to self-destruct Fate of Cthulhu, they did. So that leads us to now. Will I ever play Fate? Doubtful. I don't know anybody who's playing it. And I don't really see anything about it that I like, that isn't done better and powered by the Apocalypse, Blades in the Dark, Year One, or other systems that are coming out. Index card role-playing games, stuff like that. Will I ever run Fate? Absolutely not. I own systems that do the same thing better. Do I agree with the choices that Fate and Fred Hicks made? No. Do I agree with the negative response that people have? Well, fuck you, baby. Sounds like 4th edition all over again. It's a fucking game. Who cares? Really. Do I agree with the fact that they made contractual promises to individuals and then failed to fulfill those contractual promises to those individuals because those individuals chose to debate with them the choices they made regarding Fate of Cthulhu? Absolutely not. You had a contract with these people to meet certain things for the Kickstarter. You didn't do that, so right there, bad business. And the fact that Adam Kobel thinks this game is good just makes me want to dump it in a dumpster. Anything Adam Kobel even touches just makes my skin crawl. So there you go. That's everything I know about the Fate and Fate of Cthulhu controversy. Not a fan of the system. Not a fan of, my personal experience with Fate was negative. My personal experience with Fudge and the Forge movement and Consulman and those people was negative. My personal experience with GURPS is negative. Ideas in Fate exist in other games that are better. How the situation regarding Fate of Cthulhu was handled feels like, from what I'm reading, just bad choices on both sides. But that's everything I know. If you know anything about the Fate of Cthulhu Fate bullshit, comment down below. If you think I should give Fate another chance, comment down below. If you think I should throw Fate in the fire, comment down below. If you think I should shut the fuck up and move on to another topic, comment down below. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe yet, please take a moment to subscribe. It lets you know what's going on with the OGGM adventures, and it lets me know what you want to see. And it's the holidays, so if you're feeling generous, maybe consider supporting me, because I'm going to need charcoal to set Fate on fire. That's it. That closes the book on Fate. Stay warm. Happy holidays. I will talk to you later.